Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Delacath. This is my first attempt at a video for Flip Classroom, so bear with me. This video should explain to you how to find perimeter of a polygon or circumference of a circle. So let me get rid of my face. You can focus on the information. So the first thing you need to know about perimeter is basically what it is. And since it's just basically a distance, you would use normal units to measure perimeter, because if you're looking for perimeter of a polygon, you're just taking segments and putting them next to each other in order to figure out the total distance around a unit, polygon. So how exactly do we find perimeter of a polygon? Well, basically all you have to do is add up all the sides. So you could always use this formula to add up all the sides to find the sum of the sides. So let's just do an example. So let's draw a rectangle. And since you've already completed the unit on shapes, of course you know that a rectangle has two sides that are the same length, these two. And the other two sides, the other two opposite sides, are the same length. And so if I gave you the length of this side as 10 centimeters, and the length of this side as 6 centimeters, I wouldn't really need to tell you the lengths of the other two sides, because you know that the side opposite the 10 centimeters also measures 10 centimeters, and the side opposite the one that measures 6 centimeters also measures the same thing. So basically I could just double the 10, double the 6, and add them together, or I can use this basic idea of adding 10 plus 10, sorry, I'm new at this, plus 6 plus 6, and then of course that would equal 10, 20 plus 12 is 32. Oops, that's a pretty bad 2, but you get it. 32 centimeters for the perimeter. Okay, it doesn't like that. There we go. P equals 32 centimeters. Sorry that's so sloppy, but I think you get the idea. So let's erase that and start over again, because I'd like to show you how to find the perimeter of an irregular polygon, which basically just means one that isn't a normal shape. So we'll have one that looks like kind of a fat L. Okay, for some reason it doesn't like that, so we'll just continue with that. Okay, and for measurements, let's go with, I'll do this in a different color so it's a little bit easier to see. How about red? Let's say that this is 2 units, and this is also 2 units. And that this one measures 6 units, and altogether this side over here measures 7 units. So you should notice by now that in my picture I didn't tell you that, okay, I can't get the different color again. I didn't tell you the length of this side right here. Okay, nor did I tell you the length of this side over here. And so that could make it a little bit difficult to find the perimeter, because we need to know the length of all the sides in order to add them together. But of course we do already know that the length of this side is 2 and the length of this side is 2. And we know that the length of this side is 6 and that one is 7. So how is that information going to help us? Well, all the vertical sides have to add up to be the length of this long vertical side. So if this side is 2 and the side over here is 7, then the length of the side, the blue side, let me get back to the blue pen. The length of this side right here would have to be whatever's left over after you do the length of this whole thing right here and you take away the side that's opposite. So the length of this side would be 7 minus 2, which equals 5. Okay, so how do I figure that out? So from all the way across here, if I cut this into a little piece right here, this part right here and this part right here would have to be the same length, just like this part right here and this part right here would have to be the same length, because they're parts of rectangles. So if this is 2, then that little squiggly blue part is 2, which means that this has to be whatever 7 minus 2 is, which is 5. So now let's move over to the orange side and see if we can figure out what the length of that one is. Okay, so if we use that same idea, all of the horizontal sides that are across from each other would have to be the same length. So starting right here, the part that's across from here, this 2, would also have to measure 2 from there to there. And the part that's across from that 6 would have to measure 6. So all the way across, to find the length all the way across, all I would need to do is add 2 plus 6. And 2 plus 6, of course, equals 8. So now I know the lengths of all the sides, because I have this one is 7, that one's 2, so let's get that started over here. 7 and 2. And then this blue side right here is 5. And this green side is 6. And this squiggly blue side is 2. And this bottom orange part is 8. Oops. So that's not working very well, so let me just try something different. And 8. Okay, it doesn't like that either. Okay, it doesn't really like me to draw right there. Okay, whatever, let's put it up here. Put the 8 up here. Okay, so 8 plus 7 is 15, plus 2 is 17, plus 5 is 22, plus 6 is 28, plus 2 is 30. So the perimeter of this whole thing is 30 units. Okay, so that's how you find perimeter. You just have to know the lengths of all the sides and you add them together. So let's go to our next slide now. And the next slide talks about regular polygons. So if you remember, when we did the shapes unit, a regular polygon is a polygon where all the sides are the same length. And so instead of adding the same number over and over again, all you have to do is multiply the number of sides by the length of each side. So let's say that you have a hexagon. And we don't really need to draw the hexagon because, of course, again, from the last unit on geometric shapes, you know that a hexagon has 6 sides, and the length of each side is going to be 1.5. Can't get the decimal point to show up very well. There we go. Inches. So if I drew a hexagon, then I'd have 6 sides. They all measure 1.5 inches. And if they all measure 1.5 inches, then basically what that means is that I would add 1.5 6 times. And 6 repeated addition is the same as multiplication. We're just going to do 6 times 1.5. And since you can use a calculator for this, I'm not going to actually show the multiplication, but 6 times 1.5 happens to be 9. So you're going to get 9 inches. And remember that it's regular units, because regular units just measure the length of one big long segment, which is what we're measuring. Okay, so now we're finished talking about perimeter. Add up all the sides, or you can use repeated addition. So for circumference of a circle, this is a little bit different because this is a curved line. So we're not going to have any sides to add up. So let me change colors here because I think that orange might be a little bit difficult to see. Let's go with black. Okay, so let's say we have a circle. Okay, and here's the center. Oops, that was pretty bad. Okay, and all the way across the circle, remember, is called a diameter. So if I told you that the diameter measures 10 feet, which is kind of silly in this picture, but that's okay. And I want you to find the circumference. I'm going to use that diameter in this formula right here and say the circumference is going to equal 10, the length of the diameter, and I'm going to multiply it by whatever version of pi, whatever equivalent of pi I'm given in the directions. So this time I'm going to use 3.14. So if I multiply 10 times 3.14, that's a weird 3, but that's okay. All that has to happen is I need to move the decimal point one place to the right, and so therefore the circumference equals 31. I'm getting better at this. 0.4 feet. Okay, so that's pretty easy if you're given the diameter. So let's erase that, and we'll do an example with the fraction and also with what happens if you're not given the diameter. So draw my circle again. Okay, pretty lumpy circle, and here's the center. Okay, so this time, instead of giving you the diameter, I'm just going to give you the segment that goes from the center to the edge of the circle. So that's a radius. So instead of a diameter, you're getting the radius. So let's say that the length of the radius is 14 meters. Okay, so if the radius is 14 meters, I'm going to change colors here real quick. I don't really need to know the measure of the radius. I need to know the measure of the diameter. And of course, the diameter goes all the way across. But if halfway across is 14 and the other halfway across is 14, then all the way across is 28 because I just need to double it. So now I just found the diameter. So to find the circumference, and this time I'm going to use a fraction equivalent for pi. They're not really what pi equals, they're just equivalents. One is a decimal form, the other one is a fraction form. You're expected to know how to use both. I'm going to multiply the diameter, which is 28, times 22 over 7. That's again pretty bad too. Okay, so I'm going to put 28 over 1. I'm going to change colors of my pen just to make it easier to see. And then I'm going to cancel. We learned that in the fractions unit. And 7 goes into 7 once. 7 goes into 28 4 times. And then 4 times 22 is 88. And 88 over 1 just equals 88. So this time the circumference of that circle, using the fraction equivalent of pi, is 88 meters. And that's basically it. Good luck.